Alright everyone, Vermont leftists are not known for necessarily being sane, and by the way, please don't judge Vermont by ideas that are put forward by the far left. Oftentimes, and I know this as a long-term Vermonter, and I was technically born in New Hampshire, so sorry for that, I'm not Calvin Coolidge, but lived in Vermont for about 29 years of my 32 years of existence. Most of the time, the kooky ideas that you see on the news, well, Vermont is planning to force everyone to dye their hair pink or something, it falls through. The population of Vermont still has common sense, but the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And so the mainstream media, when it talks about Vermont, people outside of Vermont get the conception of us as a bunch of hippies. Well, it's not. It's backwoods. Half of Vermont is basically Green Mountain, offshoot rural Appalachia with log cabins and shit like that, and hunting. There's a reason why Vermont still doesn't have considerable gun control, and even that's being battled out in the state Supreme Court. So when I read this story out, don't think that it's actually going to be implemented, because it probably won't be. But it doesn't come from the Solarfest hippies that just want to smoke weed and drop acid. This comes from the corporate leftists that moved to Vermont from other places, and they all live in Burlington or Woodstock. And so what you get here is they've got a racist new plan to help people of color, which is a racist term in and of itself. I've already explained. How is it different than colored people? They say literally the fucking same thing in a different order. And indigenous people. Okay, I'm going to get into that because if you mean like tribal heritage, I've got a little bit of a bone to pick with people who don't understand basic history and geography to buy homes and land. Now, first and foremost, Vermont's a hippie state. Land zoning in Vermont is onerous. Taxes in Vermont are very high. Nobody wants to move to Vermont. And there aren't a lot of people who are black or indigenous in the state of Vermont. It's 97% ethnically white. It's 97% Europoid people. There aren't many minorities in the state of Vermont. Now, minorities in Vermont are humans because we've got so many fucking cows and pine trees. As far as indigenous people, are you going to limit it just to people whose tribal affiliation is local? In other words, Abenaki and similar groups? Or like, let's say that I'm, this person here, they're a quarter Hopi. They're from the far west, or they're part of the Aztec or some shit. Well, we've got to give you a subsidy. Well, they're not indigenous to Vermont. If you're talking about a state-level policy, you'd have to constrain it to people who are indigenous to the locality. Dude, some of those tribes from the Americas are about as remote as Europe is. Europe's not much, the coast of Europe, like the UK and shit, wouldn't be much further away than the west coast from Vermont. So what are you talking about indigenous for? And what is a person of color? And why do you keep using this term anyway? Or they have another one called BIPOC or something like that. So it's like basically they're trying to take Hispanic people, and especially those with darker skin, and black people, and roll them together along with South Asians, like people of Vedic extraction and stuff. I gotta say, how fucking stupid, number one, as a classification is it? Number two, how goddamn fucking bigoted and idpol can you possibly get when this is always coming from the same groups that go around every second year to canvass for votes? The same people. They just take off the sticker that says proud to be black and put on a sticker that says proud to be a Democrat. It's the only fucking thing. It's basically a political sub-movement anyway. It's just an offshoot. It's almost identitarian in nature. It's just pan-ethnic in its identitarianism. But it's basically a yearly virtue signal. Don't expect it to take off, though. I mean, the idea of giving taxpayer money to people based on the color of their skin in order to prioritize them over other citizens based not on any wealth advantage or disadvantage, but only on their skin color, I gotta say that would have to be illegal. Dude, affirmative action in the hiring and educational sense is being embattled right now. It's being attacked by people especially of East Asian heritage. What about them? What if someone with light-colored skin straight from Japan with a six-figure goddamn Silicon Valley salary says, I'm going to Vermont. Hey, I want taxpayer money. You gotta give me a 10% subsidy because I'm not white. That's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And by the way, this doesn't solve the problem of the extant bigotry that does exist. Shuffling money around from one group to the other indiscriminately in order to get votes, if anything, it just inflames that more. And Vermonters, by the way, we are very polite. We don't, harass people racially and shit like that. It's basically absent from Vermont. But we shitpost a lot. We like to keep our thoughts to ourselves, except in private company, but Vermonters are not woke people, and by and large, even people in the left in Vermont won't like this. It won't take off. And it won't get, I mean, I don't think it'll get mainline Democratic traction. This is coming from, like, the progressives. From the far, this is coming from the cringe fringe, like AOC and Bernie Sanders and the hippie trippy granola eaters and idiots like that. This happens over and over, and every time they make Vermont a partisan laughingstock, the plans fall through, and then they go back to square one, and a little while later they do the same fucking shit. They've been doing it forever. UVM flying the BLM flag, Shumlin's failed attempt to bring universal healthcare coverage to Vermont. Even the Democrats realized it'd be too expensive and said, well, we can't do it. And so then Shumlin couldn't run again because the progressives wouldn't back him, so he'd have the Republicans and the leftists both canvassing against him. He knew the gig was up, so he retired. I feel sorry for Peter Shumlin. He's an idiot. I don't feel sorry for Phil Scott. He's just plain out, flat out evil. He's an idiot, but he's also a malevolent idiot. I think Shumlin was just disillusioned towards the end. I don't even think he knew what was going on. He got thrown under the bus so hard, he was just trying to explain reality to people. But this is basically bigotry. There's no other way to put it. You're prioritizing one group of people over another based on the color of their skin. How is that not bigotry? Oh, wait, you can only be racist if you're part of the wealthy, privileged majority. Well, I'm not a politician. I'm not a one percenter. I'm supposedly part Abenaki, so one of my ancestors might have been raped by a colonist, so, you know, I need reparations for that, right? And I'm beyond reproach. I'm allowed to say and do whatever I want, and you're a racist. You are a native phobe if you don't like it, by the way. That's about all. Peace out.